1994-95 was a mixed bag of a season for the Reds. There were clear and obvious signs of improvement both on and off the pitch following Roy Evans' appointment as manager midway through the previous campaign, but it was also a season which saw the departure of several club icons with the likes of Bruce Grobbelaar, Steve Nichols and Ronnie Whelan all departing the team for pastures new, with the main impetus on the club now being developing into a side who could adapt to the modern game and make a real push for the higher positions of the Premier League table. All in all, it was far from our worst season, but that doesn't mean it was necessarily our best. Welcome to Good Sport Reviews, and this is 10 fascinating facts about Liverpool's 1994-95 Premier League season. Number 10, Michael Stensgaard got injured setting up an ironing board. An ironing board did a better job at ending a Liverpool player's career than Jordan Pickford did. Just going to let that sit for a minute as we ponder who is clearly the more effective of the two. Michael Stensgaard was made Liverpool's first signing of the 1994-95 season when he arrived for £30,000, with his role in the squad set to be understudy and backup goalkeeper to David James, who had become the starter following Bruce Grobbelaar's departure. However, while setting up an ironing board, let's not forget, the Danish goalkeeper dislocated his shoulder, which evolved into a recurring shoulder ailment which required surgery, keeping him out of the squad for an extended period of time before he even made a first team appearance. Almost 2 years later, in 1996, his contract was mutually terminated and he remains one of the strangest stories in Liverpool's history. Number 9, 4-4-2 named the McManaman final as one of the greatest individual performances in modern football history. The 1995 League Cup final was a breakout match for Steve McManaman, who was quickly becoming one of England's most influential and talked about footballers. Liverpool beat Bolton Wanderers 2-1 in the final to win their 5th League Cup and first and only trophy under Roy Evans, with both goals coming from McManaman himself, who was one of the Premier League's best players that season after signing a new multi-million-pound contract at the start of the campaign and playing a more free role under the then manager. So much was his influence that the Reds fans dubbed this the McManaman final, with him not only winning the trophy for Liverpool and having legendary winger Stanley Matthews praise him afterwards, but famous football publication 442 named this match 87th on a list of the 100 greatest individual performances in modern football history in a 2024 article, showing just how incredible the future Real Madrid player's influence was at the time. Number 8, David James and Robbie Fowler became the first Liverpool players to start every match in a Premier League season. In the modern days of the Premier League, more and more players are becoming Premier League ever-present, where they'll play every minute of every match due to their importance to the side, with players like Steven Gerrard, Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah just being a couple of examples of those types of players. However, the first examples of Liverpool players who started every single Premier League game are found in the 94-95 season, with top goalscorer Robbie Fowler and number 1 shot stopper at the time David James both starting all 42 matches in the top flight and becoming the first Reds to achieve this feat in the Premier League era. In fact, David James played every possible minute and Robbie Fowler almost accomplished the same, only being substituted off twice in all 42 matches, those being in the 84th minute against Norwich City and the 71st minute against West Ham United. The closest player to produce the same amount of appearances in a season was Ian Rush the season before, who did play in all 42 matches but only started 41 of him, from on the substitute bench for the side's 3-1 defeat to Sheffield Wednesday. Number 7, it holds the record for the least different goal scorers in Liverpool's Premier League history. If we're facing facts, Liverpool's 94-95 season was carried by the goal-scoring exploits of Ian Rush and Robbie Fowler, with them scoring 37 of Liverpool's 65 Premier League goals that season, with a further 7 coming from John Barnes and Steve McManaman apiece, 3 from Jamie Redknapp, 2 each from John Scales, Jan Molby and Neil Ruddock, and 1 coming from Steve Harkness, to bring the total number of different goal scorers to 9, not including goals from other teams. Now that number's quite small, so small in fact that it remains to this day Liverpool's lowest number of different goal scorers in a Premier League campaign. Even more shocking when you consider that the league used to consist of 42 matches and not 38 like today. Hell, even the current season has more different goal scorers, and we're only just over halfway through, showing just how much the club relied on individuals in the team rather than the system played. Number 6, a broken leg almost ended Stig Inge Bjornebye's career. Throughout the first 6 or 7 years of the Premier League, Stig Inge Bjornebye was a solid player for Liverpool. He featured in the competition 139 times from 1992 to 1999 and was a dependable player at left back. But what some people may not know is how close not only his Liverpool career came to ending, but his career in football as a whole. During this season, on the 5th of April 1995, Bjornebye, the second best Norwegian left back Liverpool have ever had in their ranks, God I love you John Arne Riise, was reaching for a cross that came in from Southampton when his studs got caught in the grass and broke his leg in several places, meaning he missed out on the remainder of the 94-95 season and also the majority of the following season as well, with him only making 2 appearances during the 95-96 campaign and seeing him almost lose not only his starting spot in the squad, but his career as a whole, with the defender admitting it was one of the darkest points of his life and that he was grateful he was able to get back into the team following his return. Number 5, Robbie Fowler said that the Arsenal hat-trick is what made him. It's a well-known fact that Robbie Fowler held the record for the fastest Premier League hat-trick, scoring 3 goals past Arsenal in the space of 4 minutes and 33 seconds until a certain Sadio Mane proved he was faster at finishing at just 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Yes, you heard my words. However, in the words of the man himself, Fowler believes that this is the moment that the footballing world took notice of him and his talents. In a 2014 interview, Fowler says that the hat-trick made him as a player, believing that the footballing landscape was filling to the brim with huge names and talents, and this was the moment that made him stand out amongst the crowd, also crediting John Barnes for his assist for the second goal, with his amazing ball over the top being a work of art. He did also say at the time that he hoped the record would last forever, and we all know how that went. Number 4, Robbie Williams lived with Jamie Redknapp towards the end of the season. Well, it's technically a cheat to say this happened during the 94-95 season. It all took place during the post-season celebration, so I'm counting it. You're going to deal with that, because Robbie Williams deciding to move in with Jamie Redknapp following his departure from Take That is too weird of a fact not to include on this list. At a time when the Spice Boys were regarded as football's party animals, Robbie Williams was developing a similar reputation, and following his split from the world-renowned group Take That, he was invited to live with the then Liverpool midfielder Jamie Redknapp to avoid the public eye, and even went with the lads on the post-season holiday to Marbella because they had a spare seat and weren't sure who to invite. The singer admits he can't remember too much of the experience, saying a lot of the 90s was a blur for him, but does remember the pool inside Jamie Redknapp's house of all things. Number 3, it was the first time Liverpool had got past the 4th round in the League Cup since 1986-87. From 1980 until 1984, Liverpool were the scourge of the Football League Cup, winning all 4 in that time, a record which has only been equalised by Manchester City between 2018 and 2021. But following the last of those victories, Liverpool went through a bit of a dark spell in the competition. Apart from reaching the semi-finals in 1985-86 and finishing as runners-up the following campaign, Liverpool never progressed farther than the 4th round of the tournament, with them going out in the 3rd round in 1987-88 and the 4th round in 88-89, the 3rd round in the following 2 seasons after that, and the 4th round for 3 consecutive campaigns afterwards, before their victory over Bolton in the 1995 season ended a horrific streak in the competition. Number 2, Liverpool's opening day victory against Crystal Palace is the most they've ever scored in their first game of the season. It's become tradition that Liverpool's first league match of the season tends to be a bit of a show stealer, with the 4-3 victories over Arsenal in 2016 and Leeds in 2020 springing to mind, as well as the 3-3 draws with Middlesbrough in 96 and Watford in 2017. But the opening day fixture of the 94-95 season set the tone for just how impressive Reds opening days would become, with the side making the trip to Selhurst Park and demolishing Crystal Palace 6-1 on the day. The first goal came from Jan Molby in the 12th minute from the penalty spot, before a double from Steve McManaman, a double from Ian Rush, and a first goal of the season from emerging Robbie Fowler sealed the victory, with the only goal for Crystal Palace coming from Christopher Armstrong, which makes this the most goals Liverpool have scored in their first Premier League fixture of the season, but it's also the biggest goal difference on 5. And number 1, people thought Roy Evans would give Kenny Dalglish an easy match on the last day of the season. On the final day of the 94-95 Premier League season, the stars aligned, and at Anfield, Liverpool had a massive role to play in who would win the Premier League title, with former club legend Kenny Dalglish in the dugout for Blackburn Rovers, meaning that if his side won at Anfield, they would win the Premier League titles, breaking the dominance of Manchester United in the early years of the competition. This was 2 perfectly set out so much so that a lot of reports in tabloids across the country said that Roy Evans would make sure that the Liverpool players gave the Blackburn lads an easy ride to basically throw the result away and secure the title for Rovers, a prediction and controversial statement which was quickly thrown out the window, with Liverpool beating Blackburn 2-1 on the day, but still seeing Dalglish win the title due to Manchester United drawing 1-1 with West Ham. So this not only proved the tin hat wearing journalists wrong, but it also saw Man United miss out on the league title, the best of both worlds for Liverpool on the day.